Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday and Happy New Year, everybody. I hope your day and your new year are off to a fantastic start. We got the college football playoffs continuing today with some really solid games in the college football playoff quarterfinal slate, and I've got some great picks to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 5 picks to go ahead and hand out today for the college football playoff quarterfinal slate. But first, before we dive into today's picks, we do unfortunately have to recap yesterday. And look, guys, you can't celebrate the wins if you don't highlight the losses. I always say that. And look, I'm not going to run for it. I'm not going to make excuses. We sucked yesterday. We had a horrible. I didn't even finish updating this. These all lost except for Penn State minus 11. It was the only pick that cashed. We did miss the Penn State team total over just barely. They finished with 31 points. Really rough day yesterday for us. Like I said, there's not really much I can say. I apologize to all those who tailed, to all those who faded me. Congratulations. The best part about life is if you're fortunate enough, you get to wake up the next day and try again. Had a rough day. It is what it is. We're on to the new day, new year. We're turning the page on 2024. We're on to 2025. Let's go ahead and do better today. 5 picks coming your way right now. All right, guys, our first pick in today's slate, we're moving over to the outlier screen here. We have Texas, Arizona State, 1 p.m. kickoff. And my first pick for today, I'm going with Arizona State here on the spread, plus 13.5. This would be the first underdog to cover thus far in the college football playoffs. I just think this is a lot of points. And now Texas, obviously, they are a great team. And I do think, I'll say this right now, Texas is going to win this game. I just think this spread of 13.5 points is a little too high. This is a really solid Arizona State team that's coming into this game on really solid footing. Their last time out, and now it's been a couple weeks since they played, but their last time out in the Big 12 championship game, they crushed Iowa State in a pick that we actually got right in that one. Arizona State has covered the spread at an 85% hit rate this year, including 6 consecutive games. A really great year for Arizona State. Only 2 times this year have they failed to cover the spread versus Cincinnati back on October 19th and versus Texas Tech back on September 21st. Their only 2 losses of the season. They really got going in the latter half of the year, pretty much post that Cincinnati loss. They really went on a great run there where they beat every team and beat them pretty handedly as well. Obviously, the BYU win was big. The Iowa State Big 12 championship game, massive. They crushed Arizona. Teams in really solid form. They covered the spread of plus 13.5 in every single game this year. They have not been blown out at any point this season. Now, if any team could do it, it'd probably be Texas. They did win the first round of the college football playoff. They beat Clemson by 2 touchdowns. However, they barely covered the spread in that game of 13.5. It was kind of actually the same point spread. That was a close cash there. And like I said, Texas is certainly the better team. I do think they're going to win the game, but I just think 13.5 points. Arizona State, with their offense, with their play style, they should be able to keep this game relatively close. Now, Arizona State defensively, they rank pretty well also. Now, granted, that's against Big 12 teams, so take that with a grain of salt. But they do rank decently defensively. They're not a great defensive team, but they're at least good enough in some areas where they could at least slow Texas down a little bit in these spots. On the flip side, Arizona State offensively, they have a really solid rushing attack with Scatterbo. And again, although Texas defense is really, really solid, they rank top 10 in pretty much every single category minus a couple of them. I do still think Arizona State has the firepower. They have the strength to go ahead and keep this game relatively close. They also have the advantage of an extra rest. They haven't played in close to a month. And, that could cause some rust. But in case of Texas obviously played, they played the SEC championship game the same day, but then they also played Clemson. Again, one more time, I'll reiterate. I think Texas wins this game. I do think Texas has some key advantages in this spot, but I think Arizona State should be able to keep this game within 2 touchdowns. So I do like Arizona State on the spread, plus 13.5. I don't do player props very often, but I do like a player prop in this spot. For my second pick, I'm going Quinn Ewers over 249.5 passing yards. Again, although I think Arizona State covers the spread, I think Texas will handedly win. I think this is going to be like an 8, 9, 10 point win for Texas. We're getting this from minus 118 on FanDuel. Now, the data is not fantastic at first glance. You see 33% hit rate this year. Just 4 of 12 games, Quinn Ewers has cashed this over. That being said, Arizona State defensively 63rd in passing yards allowed, giving up 215 passing yards per game. So their weakness in their defense is their secondary. And if you look at the kind of defenses they won, a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 1, and Quinn Ewers has had a lot of success against those coverages. So I think this is a really good matchup for Quinn Ewers. I think he's going to have a really big game throwing the football all over this Arizona State team. Now, that may not necessarily translate to just points. I think think that you've seen a couple times this season where Texas, he can move the ball. They move the ball pretty well, but points don't always follow. I do think Quinn Ewers could have a really big game in the passing department, so I'll throw a unit on this one, over 249.5 passing yards for Quinn Ewers. All right, guys, next up, we have a really fun game here. We have Ohio State against Oregon, 5 p.m. kickoff in the Rose Bowl. I'll be honest, this is probably the best game in today's slate, although I do think my Fighting Irish against Georgia will be a really good nightcap. I do think this is probably the best game in today's slate. We have Ohio State, Oregon, 5 p.m. kickoff. This is why you create the college football playoff, the expanded bracket, for games like this. This game is obviously a rematch. These two teams met earlier in the year. It was a really fun game. Oregon survived 32-31. Here's the thing, though. I think these two teams, now obviously Ohio State has that awful Michigan loss in their resume, and Oregon finished undefeated, and they won the Big Ten championship. So it's hard to say Oregon's trending in the wrong direction, but I do kind of feel like Oregon, specifically their defense, has been trending in the wrong direction. In that Big Ten championship game, Penn State got away with basically whatever they wanted to offensively, scoring 37 points on this Ducks defense. Now, Oregon also scored 45 points on Penn State's defense, so that is worth noting, obviously. But Penn State had a realistic shot to win that game, and I kind of feel like the cracks in the foundation are there, specifically defensively with Oregon. And offensively, although they are a solid team, no doubt offensively, I've had my concerns with them all season long. Now you get this rematch, a game where they barely escaped. If you put like an extra 5 seconds on that clock, Ohio State wins that game against Oregon, or a few more seconds, they probably win the game. Again, they were in field goal range. Unfortunately, time ran out. Ohio State, I feel like, despite the Michigan loss, is still a better team since then. Defensively, they've changed some things. Offensively, I think Will Howard has been playing pretty solid. Again, Michigan game aside, and you have to count that. But I do like Ohio State coming into this game. They had a really impressive win against Tennessee in the first round, killing Tennessee. Oregon has the extended rest. They obviously have that in their back pocket. I just think Ohio State is going to be a better side here. Defensively, we know how strong they are. I think they're going to be able to slow Oregon down. And then offensively, I think they make just enough plays to go ahead and get the win. So we're going to Ohio State, Ohio State money line minus 135. I know the spread's 2.5. I don't want to touch it because the last time these two teams played, it was a 1-point game. This game could be very close again. I'd feel more comfortable taking the money line. It's minus 135, so it's not like terrible value there. I'd rather take the money line. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. The Ohio State Buckeyes are 4-1 in the last 5 games versus top 25 scoring defense. The one loss, obviously, being Michigan. But in that data, I mean, they beat Indiana, they beat Penn State, Nebraska had a pretty solid defense. They beat Tennessee. Like, they've been on a really good run. And the Michigan game is a clear and unfortunate outlier for them. But in between there, they had a really good run over the last 5 games, playing these tougher defensive teams. They already know what Oregon looks like. They had a good chance to see what they are. They almost got away with the victory. This time, I think Ohio State will be more prepared. I think they're fired up for this one. I like Ohio State on the money line here, minus 135. And then my final 2 picks, guys, are coming from the Notre Dame-Georgia game. But first, we just passed the 7-minute mark in today's video. So if you are still watching at this point, please comment 7 down below in the comments. As always, guys, we appreciate those who watch all the way through the videos. It means a lot to us, put a lot of work. Even when we don't have good days like yesterday where we lose a lot of bad picks, we still put a lot of work in these videos. So we do appreciate those who watch all the way through. And speaking of last night, one positive spin, we did hit a playoff pick. We've actually been pretty solid with our playoff picks. I think we're 6-2 with college football playoff picks. The bowl picks have been a disaster, and thank God the bowl season is basically done. We have a couple little bowls left. I think Duke versus Ole Miss is like the best one left, but good for us, or good for me, I should say. There aren't many more bowl games left because the bowls have been killing me this year. But the playoffs, we've been pretty solid. So finishing things up here, guys. We got Notre Dame, Georgia, 8:45 p.m. kickoff. And this first pick, I'm going to go ahead and preface it by saying I am 100% biased. I'm wearing the Notre Dame shirt for a reason. I am a Fighting Irish fan. Take this with a grain of salt. I am incredibly biased. I'm going with the Irish on the spread plus 2.5, which is available for minus 130 on FanDuel. Now, look, this isn't just simply a fan bet. I do think Notre Dame has a legitimate chance to cover this number and win the game outright. This feels like a bit of a coin flip game to me. Georgia struggled with running quarterbacks. Riley Leonard, one of the best running quarterbacks in the nation this year. And the passing games really started to get going with Jordan Faison. Whenever I see a name, I think of Gil Faison. Have you guys ever watched Nick Kroll, the Too Much Tuna? If you guys know what that is, it's kind of a deep cut, but really funny, like, sketch comedy thing he did on YouTube with the Kroll Show, I think. But anyways, I do think that Notre Dame's passing attack has gotten better in recent weeks, coming off that big Indiana win. They've been in a great form. But listen, besides the Northern Illinois loss, Notre Dame has been dominant all year long. They've covered the spread of plus 2.5 in every single game, including the Northern Illinois loss. They didn't lose by more than 2 points. Really solid team. They've been crushing teams. Basically, since the Northern Illinois loss, they've crushed every team they've played with gusto. I mean, the closest win they've had since that was the Louisville win when they won by 7 points. Besides that, they won every game by at least a touchdown or more since September what was that, North 7th? So in the last 3-4 months, they've just been killing teams. Now, Georgia obviously is a different beast. By far the toughest team Notre Dame has played this season. But I do think Notre Dame can pull it off against the Bulldogs here. I'll take the points plus 2.5 here. Defensively, we know Notre Dame is really solid. They're going to put Georgia into uncomfortable circumstances. Georgia without Carson Beck, obviously. However, I think that might actually be a benefit to them because I think the backup quarterback in areas it might be a little bit more beneficial for Georgia on this playoff run. Had a really good showing in the SEC championship game too against Texas when he had to come in for Carson Beck. So I like Notre Dame here in the spot plus 2.5. It's a coin flip game. I'd rather take the underdog with the points here. Again, I am an Irish fan, so it is a little bit of a fan pick, but I do like Notre Dame a lot in this spot. Also, the insights provided by Outlier, the Georgia Bulldogs are 3-9, just a 25% hit rate against the spread in their last 12 games. So we also have that to our advantage. And also my final pick and my second pick from this game, we're going with the under here, 45.5. I just think these are two really solid defensive teams. Notre Dame, obviously top 3 scoring defense. Georgia, they're top 20, but they obviously have a pretty solid defensive team overall. Not like they used to be, but still a pretty solid Georgia defense here. I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I think this is going to come down to sort of the last, whoever has the ball last kind of deal. But I think the under 45.5, it seems a little too easy, but it seems like the right play here in this spot. All right, guys, those are all 5 picks in today's college football slate. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. Happy New Year, guys. Make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. This is the last kind of full pick slate, multiple game pick slate video of this college football season. From this point on, I'm going to just be doing single game videos because obviously after this round, we get to the semifinals, fewer games on. So we'll be doing single game videos from this point on. So this is the last kind of full slate video of the year. So appreciate you guys for watching. We'll be back next year, obviously, with more full weekly pick slate videos. We still have some more college football videos to do this year. We've got about 3 or 4 videos left on the season, but we're coming towards the end here, guys. And it's been a fun year. We haven't had the best of luck in some of these games, but I think we're going to have a better day today. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you back here for the college football playoff semifinals. Until then, hope you're all winners. Enjoy the start of your new year.